Today, we're diving into the digital classroom. We're going to look at the incredible promise of new technology in our schools, but also the serious pitfalls and the policies trying to navigate it all.
So let's just start with the question that's probably on all of our minds. Did the pandemic just completely break education? I mean, for a while there, it really felt like it, right?
Well, the short answer is no. But here's what it did do. It slammed on the gas pedal. That sudden global shutdown forced what was basically a massive unplanned experiment in remote learning. It crammed what should have been years of digital change into just a few months. So it didn't really break the system, it just showed us the future way ahead of schedule.
And that gets us to our first big idea, the world's biggest experiment. Let's break down what this massive shift, this whole digital transformation, actually looks and feels like for schools on the ground.
Okay, so when we say digital transformation, you have to understand it is so much more than just handing a kid a laptop. We're talking about weaving technology into the entire DNA of an education system. Everything from how a teacher gives a lesson to how the principal's office runs the whole building.
So what does that actually look like?
Well, the scope is pretty huge. It's digital learning platforms where you turn in your homework. It's online and blended classes. It's even digital systems for taking tests. And it goes all the way up to data-driven management for the entire school district. And then, of course, there's the really big one, AI-powered tools that are designed to completely change how we learn.
And yeah, let's zoom in on that, because artificial intelligence, that's the real game changer here. This is education's new AI toolkit.
You know, the potential here is kind of mind-blowing. I mean, imagine an AI that acts as a personal tutor for every single student, one that actually adapts the lesson to how fast or slow they learn. Think about all the time teachers would get back if AI could automate grading. It could give students feedback right away, not days later. It could even spot a student who's starting to struggle and flag them for help before they fall behind. That's the dream.
Of course, with a tool this powerful, you get a whole new set of really tough questions. To get that personal, these systems need tons of student data. So what about privacy? And then there's the whole issue of fairness. How do we make sure the algorithms we build to help kids don't accidentally carry over our own biases? And, as AI gets smarter, what does that mean for things like cheating? And what does it mean for the role of the human teacher? These are not small details. They're huge hurdles we have to figure out.
And this quote right here, it just perfectly captures that ultimate vision, right? The North Star for all of this is a personal, intelligent tutoring system for every single student. The goal is to make learning truly individual, truly effective for everyone.
But that amazing vision immediately slams into a very big, very real problem. And that brings us right to our next section, mind the digital gap. So what is the digital divide? It's a pretty simple idea, but its impact is enormous. It's the gap between the people who have access to all this amazing tech and the people who don't. And when it comes to education, that gap can literally change a child's entire future. So what's causing this divide? Well, it's not just one thing. First, you have the obvious one, not having a device or reliable internet. I mean, you can't join the digital classroom if you can't even get online. Second, there's a skills gap. And this isn't just about students. Teachers also need the right training to use these tools well. And finally, let's be real, all this technology is expensive. And look, this is not some abstract policy debate. It plays out in the lives of real kids. Think about it. For one student, with full digital access, learning is personalized by an AI tutor. Science class happens in a virtual lab. A whole world of information is just a click away. But for another student, on the wrong side of that divide, learning is stuck in a physical textbook. Homework might mean a trip to the library, if they can get there. For that student, the AI revolution isn't just a futuristic idea. It's a locked door. This is the inequality policymakers are trying to fix. Okay, so how do you fix it? How do you build a bridge across that gap? Well, that leads us to our next section, crafting the digital blueprint. It turns out most governments are following a pretty similar playbook. You can think of it like building a house. Step 1, you pour the foundation. That's expanding broadband internet to everywhere. Step 2, you got the tools and materials. That means devices for all the students and teachers. Step 3, you got to train the builders, which means giving our educators top-notch digital skills. And finally, step 4, you actually design the rooms, creating great digital lessons and learning platforms. It's a strategy to make sure this new digital schoolhouse has room for everyone. But there's definitely more than one way to follow that blueprint. Just look at the difference between China and Singapore. China is going for massive scale and infrastructure. They're pouring money into AI and smart classrooms to get standardized digital learning out to millions of students really fast. Singapore, on the other hand, is playing the long game. They're focused on pedagogy, on carefully weaving technology into the curriculum and making sure their teachers are absolute experts. It's really a difference between focusing on breadth versus focusing on depth.
So, with all these policies in motion and all this tech developing so quickly, what exactly are we building? What does the classroom of tomorrow actually look like?
Well, the trends coming up are really something else. We're talking about AI creating a totally unique learning path for every single kid, finally moving past that old one-size-fits-all model. Imagine history class where you're not just reading about ancient Rome, you're walking through it in virtual reality. And we're also seeing the rise of AI assistants that could finally take all that administrative busywork off of teachers' plates, freeing them up to do the one thing that really matters: teach. And that brings us to the final and most important question of all. After looking at the incredible promise and the very real dangers, it all comes down to this. Is all this technology going to build a fairer, better school for everyone? Or is it just going to make the divide even worse? The truth is, that blueprint is being drawn right now, and the answer to that question really depends on the choices we all make today.